the two playing the lead roles were just on the floor like, I'm so tired. We used a lot of strobe lighting during that bit. She was about to give up. She was about to be like, I didn't realise that my trousers were too long because I hadn't cartwheel tested them, funnily enough. From the audience, they could hear the impact on the floor.
Their nose broke and then just like gushed out.
I think she was part of JV2, I could be wrong. She'd auditioned for like 9 different things before it.
The responsibility was mainly on us to go away, look at it, and then...
Like, Hamilton really changed the way that dance was in musicals. It wouldn't have prepared you to do something like that because...
No, you're doing it all wrong. I became much more aware of every part of my body and how that would...
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Movement Theories. This is going really well.
Yeah.
And I'm very impressed. We're on episode 4 now.
Yes.
And we've got a whole kind of list of things to share with you.
Very exciting.
Starting with another This Week in Theatre.
Yeah.
Popular demand.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to like it. And then we've got a segment. We found some stories. Some theatre stories. Some anything kind of like that we're going to share with you. And I think it would be really good if you've got your own ones. We'll make a Google document kind of form.
Yeah.
Put in your own stories that you wouldn't mind us sharing on this. And we can do a few episodes.
We can do it anonymously.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Try and guess if we know the person. So yeah, if you're friends with us, you might be kind of dobbed in if we think it's you.
No, we can't dob anyone in.
No, not dob people in. I mean, like, if we guess it's someone, probably isn't going to be them. They're like, oh yeah, no, that was probably Tom. Or oh yeah, that was probably, but kind of do it that
I
way.
feel like we can't say people's...
Yeah, Tom is a made-up name, by the way. I wasn't actually going to mention anyone. Do you want to get started?
Yes.
Good.
Let's
go.
So, starting with our This Week in Theatre. Firstly, Frozen have announced some new casting for their Anna and Kristoff.
Nice.
Their Anna is going to be Laura Dawkes, who is an Emil Dale grad. And I did a bit of research on her, and the only thing I could find that she's been in is something called Kin, the musical.
Okay.
So it seems like she's a fairly recent graduate, which is like a massive thing to then go from
Do you know
that
what Kin
to...
is?
No idea.
Yeah, there's so many musicals out there with just the most random names, the most random topics. And I'm like, there's a musical on that?
Yeah.
Already?
Can make a musical about anything.
Yeah.
And then the Kristoff is going to be Jamie Cassong, who...
Jamie or Jamie?
I don't know.
How's it spelled?
Jammy.
Oh.
I think their parents must have just been having a laugh.
Yeah. that doesn't sound like Jamie.
I don't know.
Jamie.
Their second name isn't Dodger.
And then their previous credits are Tina the Musical.
Oh, Tina
Hair,
Turner.
yes.
See,
Hair the
knowledge.
Musical. And Beautiful, which is the Carole King musical. And they trained at Central.
And that's where you're going.
That's where I'm going to train. So,
Damn.
very exciting.
It's really nice kind of going to shows, like, once you've gone through the audition process.
Yeah.
And then being like, wow, I'm going there.
Yeah, it's really
Damn.
exciting.
That's, super, super cool.
Yeah. And then the Wizard of Oz has opened at the London Palladium.
Oh, we like Wizard of Oz.
We
don't
do. Josh and I's first show properly together was the Wizard of Oz.
Yes, it was.
And Josh was...
I was Uncle Henry.
And the guard.
Oh, yes, and the guard.
And I was a munch kid. Well, I say it was our first proper show together. I got coronavirus on opening night.
So Kaitlin did everything beforehand.
So I did the dress
nothing
rehearsal
else.
and then had to isolate for 10 days.
Yeah.
Because this was October 2021, so we were still in the thick of it.
You got photos with people, didn't you?
I was in the production photos because they took those at the dress run.
Yeah.
And then
Was it in the production?
I didn't take any backstage with my friends, which I always do. And I didn't take any on the dress run because I was like, I'll be here all week. I'll do it like tomorrow.
But unfortunately...
And then I tested positive the next morning, which was very sad.
That is.
But this production has opened at the London Palladium and they've just released all their production shots, which look amazing. And they performed, I think, on Britain's Got Talent as well recently.
Oh, wow.
And it seems to be quite an updated version of it, which is quite exciting. And Dorothy is being played by Georgina Onuora. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure it is.
That's really bad. And she was previously in Cinderella with Carrie Hope Fletcher.
Oh, wow.
And she was the alternate Cinderella.
Mentioning Carrie Hope Fletcher
amazing.
every episode until we get her on the podcast.
Oh, I wish.
That'll happen.
And then we also have Jason Mumford, who I believe is playing the lion.
Okay.
And Ashley Banjo, who is the Tin Man. And then Louis Gaunt, who is playing the Scarecrow. And Ashley Banjo
Yes,
is
I
in
know.
Diversity.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I've watched Diversity live. Interesting thing about
Really?
Diversity
Go on.
is they were at the Honiton Cider Festival, and they were
how very specific.
yeah. And the reason it's specific was because my gym club was invited to perform at the same festival with them.
Amazing.
And so it was it wasn't actually me. It was the Acro One, like the big dog group.
Yeah.
And so they performed at the same time, and was so much better than Diversity. Honestly, everyone came out at the festival saying like the 20 gymnasts or whatever who got chosen to perform. They were like, yeah, they were better.
Bold
but I think that was just like
claims.
I mean, Diversity did some flips and stuff, but like the gymnasts were like throwing each other above each other's
Yeah,
heads,
I think it just
and-
depends on what you're looking for, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. But Diversity spent, I mean, from the other stuff I've seen, was like, the quality was much better than what we saw. I'm not hating on Diversity. I do think they were very good and very impressive
Yeah,
acts.
if we ever get Ashley Banjo on the pod, he'll call you out.
Yeah, he's going to see this clip. And, no, he won't. No one's watching this. And,
Comment down below if you are actually watching this.
and
Let us know.
And so, yeah, everyone was like, yeah, no, the gymnasts were great. And I think Diversity spent like 20 minutes just like trying to kill time during their performance. It was just like they're throwing like big inflatable balls for us to like bounce around. And I was like, what's going on? Very little bit of sidetracked. I won one of these like there's like a big fair thing.
Yeah.
I won one of these fair games, which is like where you throw the hoop and you put it on and then you try and get on something. And I got into this like massive thing of cider. And I was like 14, so I went and gave it to my dad. And it wasn't cider, it was some sort of like oil, because he'd like poured it out and then like poured some oil in just for show. He wasn't expecting me to win it. And so there was a big thing with security.
Oh.
And and so we went back and just got 20 quid instead.
Nice,
So I
that's
was
a
like,
win.
and also I got to keep the 20 quid.
Yeah, I was going to say,
instead of the
you
cider.
can have the 20 quid.
You mentioned Britain's Got Talent.
Yes.
With that one of the last shows you were talking about.
Yes.
And I think we've got to at least mention this year's Britain's Got Talent with the winner and
I
the
think
runner-up.
we should. I think this is a
'cause
topic to discuss.
Entertainment is broken. It's crazy how I think entertainment in person and also now online, I'm starting to go, why are people entertained by this?
Well, it was, I think his name's Daniel Bain Williams, and it was one of his dancers who came runner-up. And they kept referring to her as Alien. I think that might be a stage name or something. I don't know or a nickname. I don't know what her real name is.
Yeah.
But her dance was beautiful, and it was to the Eurovision song, and it was full of acro and like gorgeous like emotion and these incredible dancing. And who won, Josh?
Some guy taking off high vis, which is like,
I
how?
think
I know he got like the audience clapping along and stuff.
the UK public just wanted a laugh.
But yeah, but also when you think of now entertainment online, some of the things that I'm seeing that are going viral on my like recommended feed, is like a still image of a piece of bread with some like crazy audio track, and it's like 500k likes. And I'm scrolling down.
Joe enjoyed
and it's
that
just
one.
The same thing. It's just this, but it's not just bread. It'll be like an aubergine. It'll be like a tomato. There are accounts.
Are you sure you're not just like on the little app
No.
or something?
I swear, I'm getting accounts with millions of followers, and their reels are just all like these viral things of just photos of fruit, veg, things that you can eat.
You've just
It's
found the
so
shopping
random.
list.
It's awful, but I'm like, how is this? Like, because when you see like other content creators putting loads of work into their videos, or like
we're
their
trying.
dance stuff is really good, and it's just like, oh,
Maybe we
yeah,
just upload a
20
video of
likes.
some bread and like hope that does better.
Here's the thing though, with going viral on the internet,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan because it will attract the wrong audience, most
It's
likely.
true. It's
most
very
likely.
true.
And you know what you want, which is really important, I think, is kind of small little creators such as the stuff that we're doing. Is you want to build your own small community. It doesn't matter how big, as long as you've got something that you've built. And if one thing does go viral and you get suddenly like a couple thousand followers, there's probably only like 20 of them who are actually really invested in your content. And so then what it does is it sends wrong signals to algorithms because, you know, you've suddenly got all these followers, but not many of them are engaging because some of them just came along for the one thing that did really well that wasn't really related to what you do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where my thought is with it, is I'd rather kind of like consistent kind of group of people kind of following along than suddenly getting like 10,000 views.
That's why everyone's here for This Week in Theatre.
Yes. Well,
Anyway,
of course.
I'll carry on.
Shall we keep moving?
Yes. Something exciting happened this week. Aaron Tveit, do you know who that is?
Yes, I do.
Yes?
I've watched some of his concert style.
Yes, and he was Honduras in the Les Mis film and is very, very famous in the Broadway community.
Yes.
He has just been in Moulin Rouge and he has done a big long run there and originated the Broadway cast. And then there was a lot of sickness in the company recently and he came back for a night. They called him in. And usually this happens with like covers and stuff or people who've previously been in the cast, but it's never like the celebrity. And so they called him back and he did a kind of surprise visit in Moulin Rouge and everyone that night was like, how exciting that I get to see. If I went to see a show one night and they were like, oh, Aaron Tveit's come back for a night, I'd be like,
yeah, that's crazy.
are you joking?
Because we went to watch Moulin Rouge, didn't we?
Yeah.
And imagine if that just happened.
He just flew across to the UK and like turned up.
Moulin Rouge was eye-opening.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
It was.
This is.
I feel like we're going to get to that in another episode, but it was one of the best shows we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was good.
I had a message in my uni group chat the other day asking for show recommendations, and I said Moulin Rouge and Punch Drunk.
Punch Drunk.
But we'll get to that.
But I'm sure that's next episode, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
And then I have 2 more bits of news for this week.
Okay.
Full of news. So Crazy For You has just opened in the West End.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very exciting because they had a run at the Chichester Festival, which completely sold out. And
Good.
it stars Charlie Stemp, who has previously been Bill. Is he called Bill? Bert in Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah.
And Arthur Kipps in Kipps. And that's what he's very well known for doing.
Is it bad? I haven't watched Kipps yet.
No.
Is that not bad?
No, because it's hard. I think you can watch it on... It's on some kind of streaming platform, like the filmed version with him in it.
Okay.
But I haven't watched it either because it's one that I don't have access to, I think. But I've listened to the soundtrack. The soundtrack's amazing. Yeah. It's really fun. But it didn't get a very long run in 2016 when it was revived, which is quite sad because it was meant to be very good. But he's back and he's in Crazy For You, which is a show that I've been in and it's so much fun.
Very dancey.
Yeah, really dancey. Lots of tap, some cowboys. It's got the famous song I Got Rhythm, which is like always a crowd pleaser. Yes. But I remember being in the show and the curtains closing and everyone just, as the curtains kind of closed, you'd see the people on the outside go like, and then as we got further in and further in, you'd see people like shaking and then the curtains closed and like the 2 playing the lead roles were just on the floor like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
I think
that was a weird one.
Big sounds like that back here.
Yes.
You know, take a little
apologies.
No,
apologies. Right. But yeah, it's an amazing show to be in, and so I'm sure an amazing one to watch. So if you are able to go and watch it, it's at the Julian Lynn Theatre, where Cinderella was and where School of Rock was. So I would definitely, I haven't seen it, but I would recommend going to watch it because the show itself is amazing. And I saw Nat Kasanga, who is playing, I think she's called Eileen. She was the wife, and I saw her in Dreamgirls. She was amazing. Nice. And my final piece of news is one that's not in my notes because I saw it after I'd planned this episode. But there is a new and exciting musical, which I sent to Josh because I think Josh is very excited about this.
Yes.
We have
which I'm going to be very interested if we do see it. Just to like
see how they do
how
it.
It works.
So there is a Lord of the Rings musical.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 very excited people in this room right now. And it's being revived for the very first time at the Watermill Theatre. Apparently so. I didn't know. In Newbury. And so it looks amazing. The guy playing Gollum kind of...
does look like Gollum. Yeah, they've cast that well.
Kind of does look like Gollum. Can you see it?
Can you get a focused zoom in on that?
Oh yeah, I'll get a zoom in
on that. Oh.
Whoa, hello.
Is that focused?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
Stunning.
But it looks like Gollum.
I'm impressed.
Like
Yeah.
I'm very impressed. But I thought that would be very exciting news and I thought it would...
It was exciting news.
It's
like,
something
wow.
a bit different. Something that we've not quite seen before.
Yes.
So
we've got some stories now.
We do.
We want to hear your stories as well.
Yes.
But we've done a little bit of research online. Wanted to see some funny, embarrassing...
Yes.
I mean, anything.
I found these on...
That's pretty good.
I found these. Oh, I've just had an email about student accommodation.
That's exciting.
I found these on the BuzzFeed
Love BuzzFeed.
message board. So BuzzFeed put out a thing saying, "Tell us your most embarrassing stories." And so this is where I found these.
I was
just
watching
for
some BuzzFeed
credit.
last night. Some Tom Holland. Oh, I know.
That was a general sigh from around the room for the audio listeners.
Yeah.
Everyone's face went.
Yeah. No, he's so sweet.
He's
And
lovely.
like the way he talks about Zendaya as well.
Oh.
I can't. It's a lot.
It's
I'm a
really
bit of a
sweet.
fanboy.
Yeah.
I like Tom Holland.
Me too.
I see myself in him a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
The dancer, acrobat.
I do too.
You
Okay, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I want to start.
Okay, go for
I'm
it.
going to start with one by. Can I say their username?
I don't know.
Well, they're publicly kind of put it out there.
Yeah?
If you discover later that you can't just censor it.
We'll just bleep.
In that case, I'll go straight because I don't like beeping things out in the
Yeah,
episodes.
fair.
It's very difficult.
So one user says,
One user. In high school, I was in a production of Godspell where I was playing Jesus. For the most part, the play was spectacular. My favourite musical to do ever. Except for the very end. If you don't know, the end of the musical has Jesus dying on the cross and the other players singing a sombre but optimistic reprise of Prepare Ye as they lift Jesus' body and walk him through the crowd and then off stage. However, my director didn't want to have it end so sadly, so he changed it so Jesus would rise from the dead right there and then, almost immediately after death. I felt so weird pretending to be dead for maybe a minute, only to excitedly reanimate and dance my way off stage, one of the cringiest things I've ever done.
I read this and I could not believe it because
Does that
how
not
do you
ruin-
how do you just change this like
Yeah.
iconic biblical story that everybody
Imagine they
knows?
did that at West End and you just turn up one night and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, no, Jesus.
I was in
Yep.
a production of Godspell and we did obviously Jesus died on the cross.
Yes.
Um,
And like Jesus does come back to life, you know. He
but
comes
not
and
after a minute.
no, that's
He goes
quite
and
a-
like stays in the tomb for a while.
Yes.
But we
Just
did
chills
we did
out.
this, but this is a fun fact about me. I was a previous epileptic, and we used a lot of strobe lighting during that bit, and so I couldn't tell you what Jesus could have come back alive and danced off stage because I didn't see him get carried off because I
Having a
absolutely
fit.
bless my lovely friend Lolly because. I was not having a fit. That took me like a while to like sink in. I've not been epileptic for 10 years, but I'm a bit freaked by flashing lights. Like it
Yes,
still scares
that's
me a
true.
bit. And so I stuck my head in her shoulder
Yeah.
and like,
On stage.
well, everyone was hugging and crying because Jesus was dead.
Oh, I see.
And so
this was like
I
you
could get away
actually-
with it. So I just
Yeah.
hugged Lauren and stuck my face in her shoulder. My sunglasses like left indents in her skin because I was squeezing her so hard. So absolute love to Lolly
Yeah,
for like
Caitlin's a lot of
putting up
fun
with
at
it.
parties. You know,
So cheeky.
as soon as the disco's on, she's like
ah.
cowering in the corner, literally like Gollum. Or like
So rude.
cold up low hiss. Do you want to do the next one?
Sure. Okay. Let me have a look. Oh, I'm going to tell this one because it relates to something I've done as well.
Okay then.
In a production of Newsies, I was wearing
I
a
love
dress. I had asked them to hem it because I had to cartwheel, and the dress was unable to do that if it was floor length. They did it for the show, but during practice, I went to do a cartwheel, and since the dress had no give, I fell right on my face.
You've done that, haven't you?
I have done that, but I was playing a brother in Joseph, and my trousers were too long, so in the dress run,
Yeah.
I was trying to keep a cowboy hat on my head, cartwheel in a very small space on the stage, and
Yes.
I didn't realise that my trousers were too long because I hadn't cartwheel tested them, funnily enough.
Yep.
And then so in the dress run, I cartwheeled and fell flat on
Well,
the
at least
floor.
it was a dress run.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. And from the chaperones were sat in the audience, and from the audience they could hear the impact on the floor. And I went backstage and like they put ice on it and whatever, and came back on for Go Go Joseph, which is the end of Act 1, and I had to wear like PE kit, like school trousers, but like shorts, sorry.
Yeah.
So you could see my knees, and so I just had like this huge purple bruise on my knee.
You bruise very, very easily.
I do. It's
Like a floor roll and dance, you stand up again. It's like, oh man,
oh man.
massive bruise.
Yeah. But it was not funny at the time. Well, it was quite funny at the time.
For everyone else.
It was a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Like I did laugh, but it's much funnier now.
I feel like that happens with cartwheels quite a lot, where people kind of like just end up just
But I
face-planting.
can cartwheel, and I had faith. But the trousers said no.
Like, the most fun move, and the also most risky for a face plant, is the cartwheel on someone's legs. So if someone's
Yeah.
in a squat,
Well-
and we were at a dance rehearsal once where someone tried to do one of those and then ended up falling on their face, their nose broke, and then just like gushed out.
It was awful because
Just
they
don't-
were dancing with a different partner. I hope they don't mind us telling the story, but they were
Not name
dancing
dropping.
with another partner, and me and Josh were dancing together.
We were.
And Josh was facing the other way and carried on dancing, and we were dancing, they hit the floor, and I was facing the right way, and so I turned and looked and saw obviously them on the floor.
Yeah.
And Josh just carried on, and I turned around and I was like, Josh, you need to stop because our friend is very much
They had
injured.
to get like plastic surgery, was it, or like nose surgery or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. But I was like,
Bless.
oh, how like gross is like falling on your nose, like breaking, and then it just like, ooh.
It was awful. It was not very nice. Bless
Another
her.
disgusting story. We're on new seats now. We used to be on these stools, and these stools we got
What a
from
segue.
these stools we got from the garden. And last night I walked into my room. It's like 10 o'clock, and unbeknown to me, these stools from the garden had brought in little creatures, and so a spider had made a web between the stool and my chair, like a little bit across the room. And so I walked through it. And then I got about 50 baby spiders, like landed on my leg. Clearly, like just been born.
didn't-
And I didn't tell you that bit. No, I was going to leave that for an honest reaction. And so then I was like, "What's that feeling? Like my leg's really tickly." And I have my fan on, so usually I feel tickles on my leg because it's just the fan brushing against my leg hair. But no, I looked down and I had like between 30 and 50 of these tiny little baby spiders crawling up my leg like this, and it was. The most horrible. I don't really like spiders.
Nightmare material.
I'm not like a huge fan of them, and so anyway, I've literally jumped in the shower, and just like washed them all off to their death.
Oh my gosh.
But and then I took the stools outside and swapped them around. Who knows? That might have been 50 out of 100. There might be like another 50 of them kind of crawling around the set here.
That's
So
not
keep,
funny.
Keep your eyes out.
That's no. See, I can deal with spiders, but just not that many would freak me
Yeah, it was a lot
out.
of them, but they were tiny. I wasn't sure what they were at first. You know, they were like really weird.
Just had
little-
like leg
Yeah.
knits.
When I was at Turkey, there were these little bugs, but which looked like mini scorpions because they had these big tails at the back with like pincer kind of things on, but they were tiny little things, and they were always like crawling on our room. So we picked them up and you squished them, and they like popped, like they had like a hard outer shell, and it was like a crunchy pop like this. It was the weirdest kind of thing.
As a
but they're-
vegetarian, I don't approve of that.
I'm very sorry. If you're a vegetarian, like the video. So yeah, next story. Let's
Go on, you
move
go.
on away from this. This one's about Oklahoma. During the dream sequence, I watched you in Oklahoma, didn't I?
You did.
This was before I joined the local company. It was what inspired me to start musical theatre. It was already a nightmare production for me, having broken a toe the week before, and I was suddenly in the middle of an Ofsted inspection to boot. Then, of course, during the dream sequence, on the day the critic came in, and all my work colleagues that weren't frantically doing the Ofsted prep. I hate Ofsted. Did you know, sorry, we're going to move on from this ever so slightly, an Ofsted thing. There was a teacher near London, maybe like Reading, who refused to let Ofsted in, or
Wow.
something like that. Yeah, because there's this big kind of drama thing with another school where Ofsted gave like a really, really bad review, and yeah, but they just refused to let Ofsted in, and it just caused this huge uproar.
Fair enough.
Which I'm like, I respect. So the people that weren't doing the Ofsted prep, that she just desperately needed to do. So her corset came undone in the middle of the dance. Luckily, I grabbed hold of it in time, but had to do the dance with one hand before I could make a quick escape. Suffice to say, I'm never going to do a production of Oklahoma again.
I actually did the same thing.
Really?
Apart from instead of a
I
corset,
feel like it's probably quite common.
instead of a corset, it was my skirt, and it was in the Oklahoma Dream Ballet. Like, actually, the same story happened to me. Just
Wow. This
Just-
might have been you writing it then, who knows?
different item of clothing, and so I had to do this whole ballet with lots of arms whilst holding my skirt up because it was being held by a safety pin, and the safety pin just went, and it was a really heavy skirt with like lots of petticoating,
Yeah.
and just gone. Like, and
That's got to be the most awkward thing,
Awful.
especially as a girl like wearing a corset or a top or something. That just starts to come down. Like, what do you do? Do you stay on stage? Do you like dash off?
yeah,
Like,
I've had a fair few costume malfunctions in my time.
yeah, I feel like everyone has though.
Yeah. But
Leave
they're
a comment
always
of your worst costume malfunction.
fun. Okay, do you want me to do my next one?
Yes, of course.
Cool. Okay. I've been this story says, I've been in 2 productions of Into the Woods, which is, they say, is a very fun show. Usually when you tell people you're in that show, you get the question, are you playing a tree? As a joke. But the first time I was in this show, we actually had a really big group of kids playing the trees.
I was a tree in one show.
I've been a tree.
In many, probably.
Yeah, in a few. They stood on stage the entire show.
Ooh.
And were not allowed to move their arms or their heads. Every show we did, when the intermission came, they all just fell to the floor.
That sounds like child
And
abuse.
the other cast and crew hung out with them on stage and got them water. You have never seen the kind of pain in someone's face that when those kids heard the minute call for act
Were they
2.
holding trees or were they the tree?
It sounds like they were the trees.
So they just stood on stage for, like, just stood?
Yeah,
for the
because
whole...
when we were in the Addams Family, we
Yes, we brought
held
trees on.
trees.
But we had choreography to do as well.
we did, and we were ghosts. We were the ancestors,
Yes.
but we were holding the trees. So we were like listening to Crazy Than You and things.
Imagine just standing for a
And
whole 2-hour show.
Also, yeah, not the
Ooh.
whole show.
That's rough.
Into the Woods is quite long as well. Because
It is, yeah.
Because people often leave in the interval because they think it's the end. Because the first act ends in a very like happy place, so people just leave halfway through, and you have to. I went to watch a production of it in, like where we live by the local theatre company, and they had to like do an announcement to be like, please don't leave in the interval because
Yeah.
it's not the end.
It's still going.
Because it feels like the end because it ends on a very like happy note.
No, I wonder
but-
how many shows or how many experiences people have in performance. This would be good to know. Of doing the first act, interval happens, they go on stage for the next act, and the audience is just like decreased by half or
Yeah.
more. That everyone's just like left. How awkward that
It would be awful, wouldn't it?
You'd like have no motivation to keep going. You'd just be like, no, might just stop.
It's quite sad when you have, like, having done amateur theatre, it's quite demoralising when the audience isn't quite as full. Like, I've done some Saturday matinees where, like, it's been really quite empty and it's quite sad. But actually, with the recent shows that we've done, our Saturday matinees got busier because a lot of them were more accessible to kids like Shrek, you know.
Yeah, Shrek was a good one.
Yeah.
Right, there's a little story here. BuzzFeed is brilliant, but we'd like to hear your stories. We missed the announcement that intermission was over and had to run onto stage while the lights were already on, and I think a decent of the opening. That particular scene opens mid-conversation, scariest theatre moment. I've had that.
I've also had that. Go
I
on,
feel
tell
like
yours.
most people have had that. Okay, let me have a think. It was... So I've only done like 3-4 shows with you. I need to try and work out which show it was. It was the... Was it a Munchkin? I think it was a Munchkin. I think it was mid-Munchkin
I see.
dance. And I hadn't realised that they'd started, and so just dashed on and kind of joined in. But
Fair enough.
That's kind of what you got to do. Also, the intermissions are always broken. So, like...
Oh, the tannoys.
Tannoy.
Yeah.
Sorry, not intermission. The tannoys are always broken.
That's what we couldn't hear. We were in the dressing room literally next to the stage and we couldn't hear on our tannoy, and we were dressed in our Duloc costumes for Shrek, and we looked hilarious. Like, it was so funny. And we were all very
Like the
excited.
yellow
And
wig
there was
ones.
Yeah, there was quite a quick change for some of my friends. So I was dressed and I was helping my friends get dressed. And then we were kind of giggling at what we were looking at, like what we looked like. And then we heard and we think, oh my gosh, that's our music. And so what we had to do is cram in behind his castle and behind the curtain, and the curtain would open and we'd all be stood there in our little line like robots.
Yes.
But we didn't hear the dialogue before it, because you had to wait for dialogue. And so we would just like missed it and all ran on, and so you just had half the Duloc people on, half of them off. People were missing bits of it was the dress run, but it was absolute
good.
carnage.
So I came to watch that twice, and I don't remember seeing that.
No, we'd slightly improved.
Slightly.
But there was one night where I forgot my knee pads, which was bad.
I feel like one of the nights I watched someone, but I don't think it was you. Someone else didn't have the knee pads.
Yeah.
But because they're like bright yellow or something.
It was easier to
they're bright
notice,
colour.
isn't it?
You're watching and you're like, oh, that kind of.
Ooh.
And it's true what they say when you're performing, and they're like, if you're the one doing it differently to everyone else,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna be watching you.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. As soon as one person just didn't have knee pads on, I watched them the whole entire.
I love going to watch theatre with Josh specifically because it's like we have all the qualification in the world to be like the world's worst critics.
Yeah.
It could be the most professional production and we'll sit there and be like,
Yeah. We might as well just take notepads with us
Yeah.
and just write reviews.
but I love it. I think it's really fun.
But also,
And
like,
we got-
I have nowhere to stand in terms of writing reviews because honestly, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this from like a dance.
But it just makes us giggle. And it's
Yeah.
not like we're not there like slating anyone,
no.
but we just sit and have a little review to ourselves, and it's quite fun.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully, most people do that because it's quite a nice little thing to do.
Right, let me tell you the last story.
Of course.
Okay, you're gonna like this one.
Oh yeah.
When I was 12, I was cast as Uncle Henry in my middle school
I
production.
was Uncle Henry. Sorry.
My middle school production of The Wizard of Oz. We all had to provide our own costumes and had to get up on stage and to have them approved by the director. I had a full farmer's outfit, complete with suspenders, in front of the whole group. The director told me that the suspenders emphasised what we wanted to hide, i.e. she's referred to them as my budding lady lumps.
Oh, okay, that's
So I'm taking it that this is a female Uncle Henry.
Yeah.
The costume was ultimately approved, and I went on to be the bustiest Uncle Henry this side of Kansas.
Damn. The Uncle Henry, what are they called?
Dungarees.
Dungarees I wore were the director's maternity dungarees.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
And so I feel like Uncle Henry always gets some fun outfits.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Damn, that's directors.
But I feel like as a woman, I mean, I'm assuming.
You can only assume.
I can only assume. We quite often play men, and I have played a lot of men in my career. And when I was little, it was fine, and I kind of got away with it. But playing a brother,
it's a bit more difficult now.
Playing a brother now,
Well, the brothers, there was like 2 of us who were actually. Was it just me and Toby?
You and Toby, and Jack was obviously Joseph.
Oh yes, but he wasn't like
And
the
Toby
brother.
here, no.
That's what I'm saying, Toby.
I think that was it, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So there's only actually 2 of us, and the rest of them were all.
Oh, and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
And then the rest of us were all women, but all the girl brothers in my dressing room hated me because they all had stick-on beards and had to have their hair all up, whereas we shared the role of Potiphar, and so I wasn't allowed a beard.
No.
And I was allowed to wear my hair down because it was nice because I got to wear my hair down with like a headband, but the reason I was allowed to do that is because I looked like a brother in the film. Like, because my hair is like so long and curly,
yes.
If you go and look at the brothers in the Joseph film, they all have long curly hair. And so they were like, you look like a brother as it is.
I would have quite liked to wear a long curly haired wig, but
it'd be quite fun.
I guess for short curly you had to do.
Yeah.
We're on half an hour.
Half an hour?
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the third
good.
section.
Yeah. We're talking about Jasmine Vardaman.
We are.
Yes. Should we give a little... Who is Jasmine Vardaman?
We should.
Shall I ask you some questions?
Oh gosh, it's like what can I remember?
So Kaitlin, who is Jasmine Vardaman?
Jasmine Vardaman is a choreographer.
From?
Israel?
Yes.
Yes.
The kibbutz?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
And
fact
check you. This was our dance A-level.
Yes. But we thought she's a very interesting choreographer.
She's really cool.
And so she tends to choreograph kind of physical theatre and physical dance theatre type shows, which I feel like is a really good middle ground for this kind of podcast. And I found her one of the most accessible choreographers to be able to learn about, because we went to watch 2 of her shows. We've seen Alice and Pinocchio, which were really, really engaging and kind of a really nice blend of dance and theatre. And she used a lot of kind of vocalization and a bit of speech.
Yeah.
And often makes quite political statements, which I really enjoyed.
I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, it was really nice, and they're very effective.
Yeah. When I was planning this podcast, thinking movement theories, and when I was like, okay, what do I want to do a podcast about? It's people like Jasmine Vardaman who I'm taking influence from when I'm thinking of the movement, because her work is all physical, which the shows that I watch, I always come back and there's always some trick that I just want to learn.
Was just about to say,
my go-to prom trick that I do now, or at a party, I learnt from watching one of those shows and going home and...
I'd like to tell this story because Josh and I went to watch Alice.
We did.
With our dance,
school.
our dance teacher and peers. I was going to say colleagues, but they're not colleagues.
That's a very strange way of wording it.
And we went home, it was like, bye, see you later. Went home. And then I received many videos. I was like, oh, what's going on? And it was just many videos of Josh, who was very excited.
I get very hyper.
Doing a backwards worm, which was very impressive. But it was hilarious to me that I got sent like 4 different videos, and you were like getting your dad to hold the camera and you were like, look at this, look what I've learned to
I
do.
was really excited.
It was so, but that's what it's all about. Like, that's the exciting thing of like going to watch something in theatre and feeling like you leave, and I'm sure that's what she wanted, is people to leave and go, wow, that was awesome, and to inspire dancers to kind of try out, because her physical style looks incredible but also is incredibly physically demanding. Like, I remember going to watch Pinocchio and that poor woman who was playing Pinocchio, no, she was amazing, but her knees and her thighs,
because she was just on her knees like
the whole time.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And was doing these amazing like knee flicks and walks, and just looked like the whole time I was like, how is she managing to do that?
Yeah.
And we had a workshop. We were so lucky to get a
were really
workshop
lucky.
with some of the Pinocchio cast. Lady called Ludmila and Aoi, who were in the cast of Pinocchio, and they taught us some of the movement from it, and it was hardcore.
A very interesting story from the youngest of the two. I can't remember which.
Ludmila
was. This was one of their first big gigs. And they said that they auditioned.
Oh no, it was Aoi that.
Oh, was it Aoi?
I don't know. Tell your story.
I'm not sure. The story was basically that before they got Jasmine Vardaman company, before they got the gig, they spent. No, I can't remember the actual number, but I think it was double digits. Yeah, it was definitely double digits. The amount of times they auditioned to get into Jasmine Vardaman.
It might have been, because yes,
it was a lot though.
Because Ludmila had been part of the English National Ballet before she did Jasmine Vardaman, and I think she was part of JV too. I could be wrong. And Aoi had talked about how she'd auditioned for like 9 different things before it, and she was about to give up. She was about to be like, "This isn't for me." And then this was her 10th audition, and then she booked it. And
I couldn't remember the actual figures.
Yeah,
there was a conversation from a while ago.
Yeah,
but she'd done so many. It was like, maybe I'm just not cut out. And then just landed Jasmine Vardaman, which, touring around the whole country and internationally, I think sometimes.
Yeah. They do loads of international stuff.
Like, that's the dream, though. Like, that's what you want to do.
Definitely.
I think we'll have another kind of podcast episode where we'll go into details with some other companies.
Yeah,
such
definitely.
as Frantic Assembly, Motion House. Like, all these ones I am obsessed with.
Yeah.
And like the movement of a dance in musical theatre is really good, and I do really enjoy it. But at my heart, the stuff that I want to do is like the stuff that Motion House does. I just find it incredible. And I've spent my whole life training in acrobatics. And so if I can have an opportunity to be in a show that uses that ability, which is, I think when I first started looking at musical theatre, the very traditional kind of jazzy, that kind of commercial musicals that are out there did put me off a little bit at the start. But I've been really lucky. And the stuff that I've done with BYMT and NYMT have been really physical, really contemporary, really kind of new, and it's like that's the style of stuff that I want to do. And I think if I ever get chances to audition for musicals or anything like that, I think my biggest chance will be these kind of productions. Some
of my favourite things that we watched Hamilton and Newsies on Disney Plus, and Josh firstly finding out that people can rap in musicals is so sweet, and then watching all the ensemble dance and like flipping and doing this really like, because there is a bit more of a like Hamilton really changed kind of the dance, the way that dance was in musicals, and it was really quite revolutionary. And then also Newsies, and the fact that was a company of like 30 men all flipping and dancing, and like the dancing in Newsies is like nothing else.
It's like it's the stuff I want to do.
Yeah. When I went to watch it, there were boys just handstand walking just all the way across the stage, and I was like, Josh is meant.
I mean, that's what I've been doing that for years, And I think I have been losing a little bit of motivation to really kind of start doing this. And I think over the summer, because we're really busy, I'm finding it difficult, and I'm still trying to do my calisthenics training when I can, and I've got those skills that I've been held accountable to try and do by the end. But as soon as I get to September and I start at drama school, I think I'll see a shift because I'll just be doing it every single day. I think we should start our little debate.
Let's do it.
And the topic for this week is movement in the drama GCSE and the A-level curriculum enough? And I think our cameraman can probably have some input on this.
Yeah.
Be good to know your thoughts, or like kind of because you did the drama at the A level and the GCSE with
I
us.
survived it.
Yeah, we all survived it.
Well, I'd say I'll start.
Yeah.
I'd say that initially we look at Frantic Assembly a lot at GCSE and at A level, and they do cover quite a lot of movement in theatre, and it's a very different way to look at when you kind of do drama. You expect a lot of plays. You don't really look at musicals, or we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Frantic Assembly really shows you a different way of doing it. And I think that's why schools love it so much. And we kind of all joke about like chair duets and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
it really is something quite amazing. But then we did a BTEC in performing arts rather than an A level in drama. And we chose with our last unit to use a lot of physical theatre and dance movement type things, which was something that we were quite comfortable doing. And one of our other peers is going to study at London Contemporary, so she's, was very comfortable kind of doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas we had two others, which I would think it's fair to say
are non-dancers.
Would you think that's fair to say, Joe?
I think it's fair to describe me as a non-dancer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, yes.
It was amazing. Like the two of you really committed to learning.
Really got involved.
Yeah.
And
I lifted both of you up.
You did.
That is true.
You did.
I think the thing that I really liked about the last unit was because we had the freedom to put in as much as we wanted. So there were workshops where I was teaching little acro tricks and doing some movement workshops, taught you some dance sequences, which was really good. I think without that though, I would have found it a little bit not stale, but not enough.
Not creatively.
We did
like enough. Like you wouldn't have been able to let your creative juices flow as much.
I would have liked having people in for workshops.
Yeah.
I think because yes, we did look at Frantic Assembly. However, the responsibility was mainly on us to go away, look at it, and then bring our own workshops in. And I think what I would have liked the most, in terms of whether there was more, in terms of being more movement, is having that kind of brought to me.
Yeah.
So where it was like, someone was leading a acting through movement workshop instead of us kind of just trying things out that we saw on the internet. No.
Yeah, but I think you're right in the way that.
Well, actually, they've just built a massive new theatre, so.
But I think having people come in to teach us would have been really nice, because I think with a lot of the units that we did, it did really kind of throw us in the deep end of like, oh my God, what are we doing and where are we going? So I think a few workshops here and there would have been really nice to give us a bit more inspiration, because we went to watch Punch Drunk.
We did.
The Burnt City, and that gave us a lot of inspiration for our final performance, which was amazing. But having someone come in and gone, let me teach you a bit about Promenade Theatre would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But it was a difficult thing to just kind of do, wasn't it?
I agree.
Pause for a second. You guys aren't really debating at the moment. You're more agreeing.
I don't really.
This is really hard to debate on.
I don't really have like a.
I feel like this is fine for us to discuss.
Opinion to you though.
Well, yours was meant to be. I was meant to be disagreeing with you.
What were
I was meant to say that there is enough movement. That's why I went with Frantic Assembly.
I'm meant to be saying that there isn't. However.
But I also agree with you, and you agree with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay.
We're not very good at this.
In which you could explore, but in which you think.
Mm.
Oh, Joe's challenging us.
I think we keep all of this in.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Avenues that I think there wasn't enough.
I think at GCSE,
Yeah, GCSE.
It's a really hard thing for us. I'm going to come back at you, Joe. I think this is a really hard thing for us, specifically because of how much our GCSEs are affected by COVID. So I found this. I did an open evening to like convince people to do GCSE drama.
Oh yeah.
But I really found it quite hard to talk about, because I could talk about first year because we did most of first year, but it was really hard to do the rest of it because we didn't do the rest of it. Like there was so much of our GCSEs that were cut. There was so much kind of, we'll do this instead, or like things that were made up for each other.
Was
and then
I
I think
at that open evening with you? I did one for A level. I did one like, come here instead of going to Exeter.
No, I did that one with some GCSE students at the time, and I was doing A level.
Yeah.
and they had so much more to say. And I can talk for England. This is why I run a podcast. I can
why I
talk,
invited you.
but I couldn't talk about. I could only talk about so much because our GCSEs were so different.
I would have had less to say because first year itself, I was ill for most of it, so I wasn't really there for much. So yeah.
So it was very tough.
One way in which I could actually back up Josh's argument,
Go on then.
as someone who isn't experienced in dance, is that the point you brought up was that the GCSE and A level like drama and dance training isn't enough. Is that what you're arguing for?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, obviously I didn't do GCSE or A-level dance, but as someone who's not a dancer or very experienced in movement, I wouldn't say that the skills I learnt in drama just to do with movement itself would necessarily be enough to necessarily springboard me into a career in theatre or movement or something.
Ooh,
That's
I
a
like
good
that.
point.
I really
Joe,
like
do you
that.
want to come sit down?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why don't have a talk with Kaitlin?
Come and sit.
Oh,
But
on camera work.
I really like. Are we going to cut this out?
No, we can keep all this in.
I'll let Joe move first.
Let me ask you some
I think that's a very fun. I think that's a very good point. I think that if you were interested in, this is Joe. This is cameraman
Hello,
Joe.
this is Cameraman Joe.
He's not appeared on camera
It
yet.
feels really weird being on this side.
You've only had your thumb in a video so far.
Yes.
So this is cameraman Joe. Oh, I feel like a host now.
Okay, let's ask some questions.
Yeah. But I think that's a very interesting point. And if you wanted to go into a company like Frantic Assembly, which is very viable, like if you wanted to do an ignition program, it wouldn't have prepared you to do something like that because
No.
that's still theatre, that's still drama. They encourage Frantic Assembly a lot, but it's a lot of movement. Like Josh and I auditioned for Ignition last year and didn't get in, but it's quite difficult, like movement and quite physical. And so if that's not something you're prepared for, it can be really quite tough.
Can I ask you a question, Joe?
Yes, you can.
So, in terms of what you learnt from movement, how much more did you learn from the teachers in terms of like in terms of how to move?
Or the curriculum, that's why I worded it like that.
Yeah, curriculum, because to be fair, the teachers couldn't really have done that much.
Yeah.
How much did you learn from a curriculum compared to what you learnt from me and Kaitlin coming in with like, let's do this workshop, let's do this.
One thing I would say about the teachers and the curriculum is I wouldn't really say that they taught me a lot of stuff. It's more they gave me the opportunity to learn a lot of the stuff, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I definitely did learn a lot about dancing and movement in that obviously I developed like my physical strength quite a lot in like I mentioned earlier that I did like several lifts and stuff, but I became much more aware of every part of my body and how that would like communicate stuff to the audience.
Yeah.
That's
I wouldn't really
good.
say that stuff as teachers taught me. That's kind of something I learned along the way.
Yeah, I think
And your workshops definitely did help.
BTEC's hard though because this Unit 19 where we did this section, the teachers like aren't allowed to say anything or do anything or give you any input because of the kind of nature of the project, and so that's kind of not on them for like not being able to teach us or the curriculum to give us anything because it was the last unit we did, so it's meant to kind of show everything that we'd done, and so it was a bit difficult because it was all kind of on us on purpose. But it's good that you felt that helped us develop, and I think again an argument for the BTEC is the fact that there are actually a lot more units. Like we did unit 1, 2, 3, which are like mandatory, and then unit 19.
Which one was unit 19?
The last one,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. No, that was unit 3.
Yeah.
Unit 19. Unit 19 was.
Was that the awful writing one?
No, that was unit 1. That's mandatory.
Right.
Unit 19
Gross.
was. No, that's unit 2.
Am I close enough to the mic, by the way?
I love that we've
some
gone through all of the
ASMR.
others. Unit 19 was triplets, and
Oh, Triplets was the best one.
and so that we did acting styles was unit 19 is acting styles. So that's what
we really did.
Also,
Yeah.
I was doing
wait.
triplets. I did Girls and Dolls, which is by Lisa McGee, as a duologue, and it was very very fun, and it got me into uni, so that's a win.
You're so lucky. Do you want me to expand?
We'll talk about
That
that.
was a really
No,
awkward silence.
I feel like we should talk about our audition processes another.
Yeah.
Let's save that for another
You
episode.
are really lucky with your audition process.
They were very different to. I applied for.
You use everything you've done in school as well.
I did. I applied for drama and education and lots of applied theatre courses, and so it was a very different process for me than it was for Josh, who did musical theatre. We'll get there one day.
We'll get there.
We will, because it's a complicated subject.
It is a complicated
So we'll get there.
Good
But
debate.
yes, so it got me into uni, which we're very happy about. But we could have chosen millions of other units, which so.
Do we know what any of the other units were?
Well, that's the thing is, I was lucky enough to work with a director who had taught BTEC Performing Arts before. So she gave me a few plays to look at for Unit 19. But she said that she tended to teach a bit more, almost musical theatre, slightly more movement. They did like dance units when they did it. And so whether it was just the way we chose our unit, well, we didn't technically choose, our school decides to do Unit 19 because of the way it fits with our school, but other schools might choose to do more movement units. So whether it's on the curriculum or whether it's just what happened for us to be chosen is, I don't know. Whether it's just the way it panned out for us personally.
I feel like I need to ask you some more questions
Okay.
about.
We've got a unique opportunity of having cameraman Joe on the podcast
I know.
now. So
we need to utilise it.
What questions could you pitch someone who's not super experienced in the world of dance but knows a little bit about it?
What did you enjoy the most in terms of the movement aspect of the BTEC that we did? Oh, internal temperature too high.
Welcome back.
Oh, are we addressing this?
We had a little break.
We had a little break.
Yeah.
We got.
That's
squashed.
why we've got juice. Yeah, that wasn't good for continuity. No.
I hadn't realised.
Welcome to. That would have been. Imagine if we had just not acknowledged it.
Yeah.
Just spawned in.
Continuity
I
issues.
tried to do like a really clever cut.
Just before we
It
cut,
would
we
make
should
me
have
laugh.
been like, I want some squash.
Well, we didn't know we were going to
We're
cut.
not that creative.
The camera just went.
But yeah, before the cut,
Yes.
Josh asked me what my favourite thing about learning movement was.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favourite thing from the course?
Well, in terms of the movement, I think, I mean, it's a very broad answer, but I feel like just learning how to use every part of my body to communicate something different.
Yeah,
if you know
I
what
think.
mean.
I mean, I hope this is fair to say, but you have a small tendency to pace, and I
don't know
feel
what that
like
means.
Walk around.
like pacing up and down.
Oh yeah, wait, you're talking about in drama or just in general? Because I do that a lot in general.
Both. But I mean, like, and then training in that kind of movement and dance makes you think about every single thing your body's doing. So it
Yeah.
lessens that tendency to like walk around a bit. Like you're kind of very aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, I was gonna say with say you're doing a scene where you're like running along.
Yeah.
You would like a lot of people would just just run.
Yeah.
But now with the thought process that I go through now, it's like I feel about every like stride and how it looks.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing with my arms and what face I'm putting.
And
And stuff
I
like
guess
that.
triplets would have been difficult for you too. Maybe Josh switches now and you can talk about triplets. But you both played 100-year-old women.
We did.
And that is a lot for your body because obviously you're none of you are 100-year-old women. You are
No, we are
17, 18-year-old boys. Yeah, okay, let's switch.
not. We just
This is
swapping
I love
everyone
this. This is
around.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Case has it to its base level. This is going to be the longest episode so far, I think.
Oh, it's fine. It's the most fun. I hope you guys at home are liking this.
So how does it sound with...
How does
Is it good?
How does this sound?
So Triplets was by the three lads in our drama, and we played 100-year-old ladies.
We did.
And we actually performed it again at one of the local halls for one of my media units, and we recorded it, didn't we?
Yes,
We
we
did.
did. Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
I want to see Kaitlin trying to do like the zoom. It's going to be the most interesting.
Zoom in on my face.
You'll just
little
play around.
button.
Just play around. This is very.
We're gonna keep all
entertaining
this
for me.
in.
Yeah, why not? I don't mind. The audio listeners are going to be like, "What is happening?" But this is why you should go
Zoom
watch
in
it on
on my
YouTube
beautiful
as well.
visage.
So, what was your favourite thing about Triplets, or what was the most challenging thing about Triplets?
Most challenging thing about triplets was definitely Well, initially, I would say it was the physicality of playing a 100-year-old woman, because I needed to. All of the performances that were very active, yet you still needed to be like decrepit and look like you were one stiff wind away from crumbling to the floor.
It was absurdist theatre.
But yeah, I'd say the hardest thing overall was playing my character, because I was Paul. You were Roberta.
I was Ham originally.
Yeah, you were Ham originally. I was Roberta originally, but
we were swapped around.
Roberta, a lot of comedy comes from that character because she needs to be very frantic and like a control freak. And obviously Jacob played Ham. Sorry, I'm very burpy. That's okay. Really not very pleasant to listen to.
It's a bit of ASMR, but with burps. That's not ASMR. That's just creepy. Sorry, continue.
But obviously Ham creates so much comedy because she's just insane.
Yes.
But it was hardest to draw comedy out of my character of Pauline, because the thing with her was she was just very sad,
crying the whole time. Yeah.
And it was hard to portray that authentically whilst also creating.
You had the Zimmer frame, didn't you?
I did.
Which I guess is quite useful to have, because you can really bend over it and become quite decrepit and
honestly,
and old. And
the Zimmer frame helps me so much.
Yeah, no, I imagine.
That was where all of the physicality of the role came from.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
kind of used that as something to build off of.
Yes. I think what I found difficult was Roberta being 100 years old lady. And yes, it's absurdism, so it didn't have to be like, we weren't being accurate. It was, we were allowed for it to be a bit like, yeah, you're just 3 18-year-olds. But I think the difficulty that I found was trying to limit my movement, because I wasn't meant to be moving too much. But also I am the most active one, kind of leading the space and like kind of doing as much walking around and whacking people with my stick. But doing that still being old, you know what I mean? Like that was quite challenging.
Yeah.
The balance, I think, was the hardest bit.
I'd say we definitely got that balance really well, though.
Well, we got distinctions.
Yeah, we all got distinctions. I think that's definitely that was the most. I think it was the best performance grade we got overall in the whole
and one of the most fun
drama. And yeah, it was the one afterwards I felt like we did the best at.
Yes, yeah, and it was nice. Like weirdly, like the class separating, and it kind of allowed us. It was like
we didn't like you guys.
we liked working without you. It was fun. We got more done. We're more productive, I'd say.
You're starting to sound genuine.
I would argue having seen you lot after those rehearsals and during those rehearsals that is not true.
And to be fair, in our initial rehearsals, Miss did come up to us and basically said, "No, you're doing it all wrong."
Yeah,
and
we should swap around all of our roles. Yeah. Well, it was good in the end, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's the story of all great performances, though. They always start off terribly and get great.
Yeah. Oh, Caitlin's fed up of...
No, I'm coming to say goodbye, so we can all say goodbye together.
Okay.
Kneel down here. Wait, is it in a good wide shot?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to sell this space?
This is going to be... Let's pull some thumbnail faces.
No, the thumbnail faces only really work when you're... Okay.
So, we're going to do the outro now.
Do you have an idea for the outro?
Should we get our own outro like a proper YouTuber?
Oh, maybe once we've kind of settled in the space of YouTube.
Okay. Sorry, you look very uncomfortable.
That's
right
fine.
now.
I'm okay.
Okay. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. This was kind of a bit more casual than some of our others.
Yeah. I kind of preferred it.
I hope you liked meeting Cameraman Joe.
Hello. I enjoyed meeting all of you lot.
And we had a lovely time. I really enjoyed this one.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good fun. It was a longer one.
It was. But let us know if you like that or whether you'd like us to go back to how it was. And yeah, comment down below. Like,
subscribe.
Notification bell.
Yeah.
If you want to
Is that
see
all the
more
things?
Cameraman Joe, I want to see it in the comments.
Let us know. Let us know.
We've definitely got things that we can talk about with you.
And follow us on the social medias, which would probably be around here somewhere.
Yes.
I'll point up here and Josh will put them down there, won't you?
Yeah.
Follow me on my letterboxd. I want more followers on there.
Go on, give it a shout out. Dude, you're on the podcast now.
Wait, it's JO with 5 E's _ Burren.
There you go. Well, we've got now we've let him on, we can let him do a bit of promo.
Yeah,
But
hell yeah.
yes. So follow us on the social medias, which will be on the screen right now. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Bye.
Bye, guys.